Hi everyone. So today we are going to explore the Power Query Editor in Power BI. Power Query Editor is the place where we clean, shape, and transform our data before loading it into Power BI for reporting. You can open it by clicking on the Home pane, the Transform Data option here, and here we can see there are two main areas. So first, in the left side, you can see the queries. So basically, queries represents a table. So let's say the bad data sample, it is a query, which is nothing but a table. And in the middle, we can see the data preview, where we are seeing the preview of our data. And in the right side, we have the applied steps. So whatever the transformations we are going to do here in this particular data set, in this particular table, we can see those transformations step by step here. So let's start with some basic transformations. So first of all, we here in our data set here our in this CSV file, we can see there are so many columns, but the columns are named as column 1, column 2, column 3. So the basic transformations, what we can do, we can just double click on the column name and we can change with meaningful name. So let's name it as ID. So here you can see, just by double clicking on the column name, we can just select and replace the column name. We can rename the column name, or else we can right click, or we can just rename the column name. In the right side, you can see when we rename the column, here we get to know our first step, which is the rename column. It came automatically. We can remove it from here, just from one click we can remove it. Now for our data set, we can see we have two rows with the same kind of data, which is two rows with the column names. So let's remove the first row. Let's remove a top row. So in the home uh, pane, you can see we have keep rows and remove rows. So we will use the remove rows and we will go to the top remove top rows. We'll select the number of rows. For our case, it is one. We'll click on the OK, and yeah, you can see the top row is removed. Now we can do one thing. We can just keep the first row as our header. So we will click this option, use first row as header, and our first row become the header. Okay. Now here in our data set, we can see we have several columns, and there is one column which we were not using. We will not use that column for our reporting part, which is notes. So we can use another transformation method to remove a column. So here you can see in the home, we can just click on the remove column and the selected column will remove. We can use control plus click for multiple columns, and we can select the columns and we can remove all the columns at a time also. So we are not considering the unnecessary columns for our reporting part. So that's how we can remove the columns. Again, by seeing the data, we can see we have these date of birth column is in text format. So to change the data type, we have to just click on this ABC icon. We will right click, we can left click on it, that, and we can see we have several data type options. So for this particular column, we will select the date data type, and all the columns will change to the respective date data type. Again, for the joint date also, we will do the same. Now, after changing the data type to date, we can see we are getting some errors in some of the respective columns. So because 32 is not a date and 13 is not, so that's why it was not parsing this date value. So what we can do, we can just remove the errors. So let's select the columns and we can remove the rows which is having the errors. So here you can see remove errors. So the rows with errors got removed. Now we can always filter. We never want all the data every time. So we can always filter the data as per our requirement. So let's say we want only uh, data for some cities. So what we can do, we can click on this drop down. We can see we have uh, some cities, but we want only Indian cities. So what we will do, we will unselect all and we will select only Indian cities. I guess we selected all the Indian cities. Let's click on the OK. And now we have data for only for the Indian cities. Okay. Let's say if we want to split the column with the help of delimiter. So just we need to select a column. So as of now, what we want to split, we want to split the name as first and last name. So we'll select the name column. We can right click. Here you can see we have the option of split column. Split column by delimiter. We will select the split column by delimiter method. And we can select the leftmost delimiter as space. We can click on OK. As you can see, we have John and Ayer separated name one as name two. We can change it as first name and last name. We can rename it as first name. We can change this as last name. Again, here this particular row, maybe we have a space in the left side. You can see we were having an extra space in the left side. That's why it took that. So what we can do before splitting the row with the delimiter, let's do one thing. Let's remove the, let's trim it. Now we can create a custom column for this name column where we can just customer name. Here we will write trim text dot trim. Then we'll write the column name. So we have to select the column name and we have to trim the uh, spaces left side. So we'll write a space. We can click on OK. So here we have trimmed the spaces. Okay. Now let's do one thing. Let's split it to the two column, which is split by delimiter. We'll select space, the leftmost delimiter. We'll click on OK. Now as you can see, we have split it between two columns, which is the customer name one and customer name two. We can write it like customer first name and customer last name. That's how easy we can rename the column or we can split the column with the help of delimiter. If we want to, if we want to, let's say if we want to save these transformations, so what we have to do, we have to click on this, close and apply. Yeah, so when we click on the save and apply, so we can see our transformation is applied, and here we are only seeing the data for Indian cities, which we applied the filter. And again, we have the customer first name and customer last name separated. We have the date of birth in date data type, also the joint date in date data type. So these are the easy transformation steps which we can apply. So what we learned today, so we learned how to open and understand the Power Query Editor, how we can do the basic transformations, which are the renaming and removing the columns, filtering rows, splitting columns, etc. etc. These are the basic transformations which we need before we move to more advanced shaping. So in the next class, we will be exploring slightly advanced transformations like grouping, appending queries, merging queries, and we will do the hands-on practice so that you can understand how those transformations works. Thank you. Bye.